All right. Well, here we are for 29th consecutive class. So has everybody kind of settled down, reviewed their quizzes? Hopefully let that not color their confidence for today's class. Quizzes are more to gauge our progress from the, of all the grades I've issued you so far, that means none, so you don't have to worry. Yeah, they're still tests, yeah.
If you want us enclosed, if you come in with these different verbs, it includes some of the bit of the others that we have before,
Yeah. If I gave you all a test, it would be like big old block translation of scripture. I don't know. Do you all want a test at the end of the? I can feel you sweat from over here.
How long do we have to take this test?
Yeah.
The take-home quiz?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah, and you don't get dinner until you finish it.
Oh man, about it's like a 3-hour quiz.
Yeah.
No computers a lot.
Yeah. Well, you all do well in these translations. I think it's the anxiety that comes along with test taking is probably what y'all are worried about, which I understand. I've been on your end, so I remember how it was.
We appreciate your class.
Oh, I appreciate y'all having come here faithfully for like the past, what's it been, 9 months? 6 months to 9 months?
Y'all started a little bit before I did, June 16th.
Yeah, so it's got to be.
It's gotta be 9 months because
Yeah.
When I started at the end of May or something like that.
Yeah. I remember I was waiting for small groups to get settled in, so I was like, yeah, right around May sounds about right. All right, well, rest assured, I'm just glad that you all have grown immensely in your Greek knowledge, and pray that you all continue to keep it up. So without any further ado, let's move on into our review of chapter 28, beginning with our parsing exercises. So do we get a volunteer for parsing number 1? Okay. Wow. Wow, your hand shot up so quickly, I thought it was going to poke through the ceiling. Correct.
It's nominative.
Correct.
Plural.
Correct.
Active masculine.
Well,
the voice is first. The mood is active, and the lexical form is. I can't read my writing. Maturai?
Matureo.
It means witness, testimony, or proof.
And the inflected meaning?
Is after they testified.
Correct. Wonderful. And you got the mood was actually this is a participle.
Oh.
So. And I think we're going to have every single one of these are going to be a participle. So, little cheat there. All right. So, can I get a volunteer for parsing number 3? Wait. Well, it turns out, I had to make notes because when we get into translations, they're going to skip all over and blame me. So forgive me. So yeah, we're going to parsing number 3. Parsing number 2 is out the window.
Saying.
Mm-hmm.
Dative, singular, first aorist, feminine, active, participle, simple, poieo, doing.
Well, inflected meaning, yeah. This is going to be aorist, so.
Got it.
Well, that would be, aorist participle, however, would be like after she did. Remember, we have to have that modifier while or after for the aorist, denoting a completed action. So the while for your imperfective, and since we're dealing with an aorist, that's going to be a simple completed act. So it would be a simple past if it weren't the participle, but it denotes a completed action.
And what's the lexical form? I'm sorry.
That'd be poeo. Okay, can I get a volunteer for parsing number 4? Wonderful. Yes.
Second is reflective. Masculine.
Correct.
Active.
Yes. Yes.
Circle line.
Correct.
Well, I had after 1 and 2.
Yeah, but yeah, you can also go after he or it went too is another way of saying it. Is going into and going went, and English has that interesting past tense. He went. He was, like for past tense for going. Like I will go to the store. I went to the store, or something like that. All right. So, can I get a volunteer for number 5?
It's two. Well, you go ahead. You go ahead.
It's to then pets.
Yes.
I have it as a noun.
Correct. Correct.
Parents.
Correct.
And it's pistual.
Correct.
And after being
Close, but you want to put to be in the past tense because this is completed action. Well, what's well, well, having is a verb of the verb to have, and you'd use that in a different. So you'd want to like the past for to be in the aorist masculine would be like he was, but being this is plural would be they. Yeah, there we go. After they were believed. Yeah. So now we have to conjugate that to be the being to kind of get it into place. Yeah. That makes it a little bit more complex, doesn't it? Like, oh, participles. Why do you have to be so complicated?
Tell me about it.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize we're getting Avril Lavigne in class A. All right. Let's go and jump forward to our warm-ups here. Okay, so do I get a volunteer for warm-up alpha?
after entering.
Say again?
After entering.
After?
Entering the child.
Well, let's work with what we have. You want to do that?
Okay, yeah. Alright, so we have coming into or entering, right?
Okay.
This is into the house. And this bed, right?
No.
That was a word I had trouble with.
Edon is.
When I looked it up in the lexicon, but it wasn't that word.
How about
Right.
they saw?
Is it verb or noun? What is the?
Yeah, it's a form of yeah.
Oh, with the child.
Yeah.
After
Yep.
entering, they saw the child.
Yeah, there we go. That's the part.
I just missed it.
Child with Mary. After entering, yeah, you can drop the into. They saw the child with Mary. Yeah, wonderful. Where? Oh, there it is. see, I think I'm just going to skip. Yes. No. Yeah, these are out of order too, so this is my fault. Not yours by any means. So yeah, this one's good. Okay.
I struggle with it.
Yeah, this is a hard one.
So also from,
Mm-hmm.
from circumline going into after coming in.
Okay.
The scribe
Correct.
said,
Oops.
I'm guessing this is a command form, but I don't know, but
No. It's a title. And it's also it's an evocative, yeah, case. That's why I was unfamiliar with you. So that's perfect. Otherwise, you're not recognizing the evocative. We've only touched into that. That was weeks ago. And so this would be similar to like even adding the LE at the end of Spanish word. Like, try not to use Tex-Mex terms. I'm like, guáchale. Yeah. Yeah. Escúchale. So very similar in that regard. All right, let's go to delta. See, they're all over the place. It goes to gamma to delta. That's my fault. So, all right. Do I get a volunteer for delta?
Dominos, Apo, Face, Galileas.
Wonderful.
After having begun from Galilee.
After having begun, let me see here. Middle passive. Yep. Yeah. From Galilee. You can also say like out of Galilee. It talks about having begun the journey out and away from Galilee. So wonderful. Right. Y'all are handling this like pros. Yeah, which one we're going to go all the way to Ada here. All right. So, did anybody get Ada done? I'm sorry?
Also, to
so I think you have a
Okay. Or what's another term for this? Yeah. Okay, so what is this? Okay, never mind. So now we got our
Right.
ice el tonta. It's actually singular. It's accusative singular masculine.
Right.
Okay, what's the root form on this of this verb?
Right. Is it still on? Wait.
Ericama, yes.
So it's entering the.
Yeah, exactly.
But it is aorist.
It is. It's an aorist active participle. I already gave you the accusative singular masculine.
So it's after entering.
Yeah, you had it. Well, so it's going to be entering, coming, something of that nature. So let's see here. So we don't have where it was going. Let's say coming, because we always want to have that nice ing, but we know it's going to be the angel of God after coming. So then now we've got a relative clause here.
Saying.
Where are we at? Okay, do we want to do prosaltone first?
Um,
To him, yeah. I'll give you and, I'll give you Kai. I think you had it earlier. Yeah. Yep. Said, this is actually going to be, can't remember. Yeah, this is still another aorist active to him, yeah. This is exactly in the same, these two are exactly the same thing. Aorist active participle, accusative singular masculine. So an angel of God, after coming to him and said to him, that's kind of clunky, right?
just cut the and.
Well, we could, there's another way of saying said is, yeah. The angel of God, after coming to him and spoke to him.
Because this is part of.
Okay.
Going to be like saying this and that.
But here, do you remember what we said about like the INGs? We want to throw it there first, but if it doesn't fit, the language is clunky.
Can that Kai be also?
It could, and also spoke to him. Well, you'd have to say, yeah, but the and is still there, yeah.
Also, okay, after coming to him, also spoke to him.
Yeah. Well, here's one of the things. So this is going to be an aorist, so it's a simple past. So we could substitute out. Sorry, I put that there, and then shift this up front.
After an angel of God came to him and said to him.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So that's basically what we've been trying to talk about. Like if the ing doesn't work and it seems very clunky, then you might need to do a little surgery in the English grammar to get it to work more smoothly. That depends on, do you want it more word for word, thought for thought, and this is, like I would say, still very close to a word for word translation. It's not going to be something that's going to be out of I'm brain dead on the type of the interlinear Bible, where it's just basically, that's about as word for word as you can actually get. So, but this is stuff that you can do in your translations. We've had to do in dealing with other translations where we have, let's say, grammar that just does not work out in English. But this is up to you as a translator. Just remind yourself humbly to keep it faithful to the text, but this is stuff that you can do in order to make the English flow a little bit better. Okay, actually, we're only going to do one translation because we don't have time. So we got a little late start, so I do apologize. I don't know if this is the part of the class you all enjoy the most, but all right.
After entering the synagogue.
Entering? Where were we? We got and? What is eothus? Yeah. Toys. Okay, toys we have. That's dative.
Of.
Dative. But is it like going to be a 2? We know that what is sabasin?
Oh, the Sabbath.
Yeah. So immediately to the Sabbath? But do we have to have 2 always in a dative?
On.
Yeah. Yeah, you can have on the Sabbath. Because it's just basically you're dealing, remember the dative is just the indirect object, but it's just a sense of transitivity from the subject to the indirect object. So you can have any preposition. Most prepositions can work, and a lot of prepositions have specific dative only conjugations, if you remember, or uses. So, okay, so keep on going. What? I'm sorry?
When we have entered.
Entered? Yeah. What's our root verb here? Out of isothon. Well, we have, this is, yeah, this is still iserchoma, yeah. So it's coming, going, but going in. So let's say going into. Well, because we have a double in, so this would be emphatic going. Let's say the going in's already in erchomai or isothon. And we'll just put the 2 there. 10 synagogen. Synagogen. Yeah, the synagogue. Yep, he was teaching. And so we have our the simple past here. The aorist. What? Yeah, you pick that out. That's just a simple. Yeah. All right. Wonderful. So y'all did great in your translations. You notice y'all have been getting hit with a lot more curveballs lately, and y'all are just not stumbling as you used to. Y'all are.
I didn't know it's something against it.
Yeah, it's in a different we call it conjugation than the normal lexical form that you're used to. But that's one of the things you're used to seeing now. Nouns and verbs with endings and different forms. So if you have the suspicion, like looks like that's going to be the case, then it probably is. And what I'm really impressed is y'all are catching erchomai and all of its crazy conjugations there.
I think they kind of were trying to fill that into us in these.
Yeah, that's what they're specifically designed to do is drill.
Everything's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you check, right?
Well, that's typical, as I said, irregular verbs in every language. You're going to run into that, and the best thing to do is just practice them as often as possible. Get yourself used to them. All right, let's move on to our lesson. We are now moving into our adjectival. Yeah, it is. That's actually bamboo, if you look close. Yeah, that's a bamboo forest, which means it's most likely in Sichuan province in China. All right, so chapter 29. Whoever thought we'd get this far up in our Greek learning tree here. So adjectival participles. It's kind of funny. Why did we start with adverbial when it seemed like seems like participles are more attuned to be adjectival, right?
That's where you had what is two words for participle, and you had adjectival, adjectival participle was a two-word phrase for participle.
Yeah.
To begin with, but then you had the adverb.
Yeah, it's like, so you think adjectival participle is like almost tautology, like aren't all participles adjectival? But yeah, if they're modifying verbs, they're adverbial. So, all right, so we covered this in the introduction to the intro to participles class, but participles are just merely verbal adjectives. They're verbs turned into adjectives, and they can either modify a noun or a verb. So the difference is if they function as attributive in describing a noun, or they are substantival if they are actually in the place of a noun. So like the little phrase I have here, sorry, I got a little sidetracked there mentally. The man eating by the window is my Greek teacher. So the eating is something used to describe the person. So it's an adjective. That man eating, that's a way you can just understand who this noun, the man, is my teacher. And a lot of times the ing is going to be more so for your adverbial participles. Excuse me. Let me reboot here. The ing is going to be huge for your adjectival participles. You're not going to have to add the while or after. And we also have covered many times that aspect and relative time are going to be difficult. Well, aspect and relative time are going to be very difficult in dealing with adjectival pronouns. So that's why you're not even going to have the whiles and afters add on, because they're not going to be really. We're not going to be really dealing a lot with, let's say, even the completion of an action. So the man eating by the window does denote that man is still in the process of eating at that time, where you can be telling the story like, yeah, last week I saw this man who was eating by the window. You can make the inference that he's still eating a week later by that same window, but would be that same act of eating. So that's where kind of see how the aspect becomes the relative time becomes a little difficult to describe. Okay, so how to determine whether a participle is adverbial or adjectival? Well, the big clue is adverbial participles are always anarthrous. They do not have the article in front. So no hose or hays or cases. They do agree in case, number, and gender, but the thrust of the meaning is against the verb, meaning that's something that's going to be describing the verb in action. So we want to add the ing while translating, and the while or the afters to denote either continuous or completed action that it's describing. And the adjectival are probably articular. They're not 100%, but if you see an article in front of a participle, chances are highly likely that it's an adjectival participle. And these are attributive, meaning they attribute a description and they match just like any other adjective in case, number, and gender. So the difference is between an adjectival participle is it modifies a noun or a pronoun, and it can also perform the function of a noun in certain instances, whereas adverbial participles always modify verbs, or the action of the verb is describing. So, yeah.
Bread versus the duck sitting.
Maybe let's use the while, because that's going to be, we know, like while the duck was sitting, he was eating bread. Yeah, so that has a double adverbial participle. Yeah, so the sitting duck, which not the term like for somebody who's doomed. The sitting duck is something describing adjectively that duck is sitting.
So. You have the substantive, you have the N and G, what was that?
Yeah, so yeah, the substantive, so that's going to be sorry, excuse me. Thank you for pointing that out. So the attributive are going to be adjectival participles functioning as straight adjectives, where they're describing action, describing a noun. They're modifying a noun. A substantive adjectival participle is standing in the place of a noun. It is basically functioning as a noun. Like,
What's the G on there?
yeah, it'll have an ing. I've got so that'd be something like the running of the dogs or running shoes. Oh no, that's a running shoes is adjective. So the running of the running of the bulls. The running itself is a noun. Does it make any sense? Or the hey, did you hear about the happening last week?
Oh, that's CNG, case number and gender.
Yeah, case number and gender. Oh, okay. I didn't know that's what you weren't getting. Sorry about that. Yeah.
C on there.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, to get more into this, the difference between the attributive and the substantive. Yeah, so attributive, once again, functions like an adjective. And something you have like running shoes. So those are shoes specifically made for running, or at least they ought to be used for running rather than mowing the lawn, which I typically do with mine, or bum around the house. But that's something that describes the shoes themselves. However, with substantive, the case is going to be by the function. So this is basically something, a participle that is standing in as a noun. So the living have hope, which you'll have in the Bible, or once again, the running of the bulls. So the case number and gender stand for what the function of that, like if you were to just treat it as a straight noun. So if you want to think of substantive adjectival participles, think of them just basically as nouns. But they have the ing at the end of them. Does that help out demystify the process? Like,
Yeah. So the substantive will be a verb that's just conjugated like a noun. You can treat it like a noun.
yeah, well, the more so the last thing you said, if you can treat it like a noun. Yeah, so it's not going to be as an adjective, because you remember certain adjectives can be green. Can't be green. I was thinking of the example in my head, and I mixed them together. Certain adjectives can function as nouns too, if you recall that we had substantive adjectives back in our adjectives class. Yeah.
Thank you.
But a lot of times you're going to end up needing, so for translation purposes, you're going to have to add a word. It's typically going to be a pronoun for your substantive adjectival participles, which we're going to get into that in a little bit. Let me see here. Yeah. Did I have that somewhere else? No, I did. And those pronouns are going to be something like who or of that nature. So, and here we have, so like, I'm having trouble with my mind, like going into reset mode tonight, so forgive me. So we're going to work with this translation to give you how this is going to work. So, ho anthropos. Well, can be, but the man, and then we have ho legon. So we got our article there, so we know this is going to be adjectival, not adverbial. Ho legon. So what would be legon normally? How would you translate that as a participle? Well, what does Lego mean? Not Lego my Egos, not little bricks that the kids build wonderful things out of.
How do you speak?
Yeah, to speak. So typical rule when we do participles, we want to throw this into place. Okay, and then to echlo estin. Yeah, the crowd, we'll do the multitude. He is for the Eston. So, and we just want to throw this up here. Okay, the man is speaking to the multitude, but does that work though? Is that the sole function of? Because here we have, this is a participle. This isn't just, this is not going to be a present active indicative verb. So what we want to do is get in the idea of once we start seeing this article, we want to start thinking of relative clauses. So we want to do this. Yeah. We have to use that pronoun. So the man who is speaking to the multitude or the crowd. That's how we're going to be seeing our translations or the functions of the attributive. Okay, so in the second one, we have still the same word. So, hoto ochlo legon estin. Legon estin. So we have this, basically the same words all over again, except for we're missing some crucial information here.
There's no participles.
Exactly. So we just have the, or the to the. So we want to go the to the, let's say crowd for space purposes. Speaking, he is the to the. What's that?
Interesting.
But this is how we're wanting. This is an example of how we have to add in, say, pronouns or other. So you can say the one speaking. The one is speaking to the crowd, or the man is speaking to the crowd, and we'd have to make that inference out of the case, number, and gender of the article. Remember how the article does a lot more work in Greek than in English, so we can just simply translate this as the man who is speaking to the crowd, or the man is speaking to the crowd. Or even just the one, if you wanted to kind of make it a little bit of a neutral. Okay, so now we have, let me get that, uncrowd this so we can get that last translation here for our purposes. Okay, anybody? Pros eu geste.
Right.
Pray. Say again? Are we looking with this? Huper? Over. That could be above. And we have if it's an orange, it's a participle. I'm just going to warn you there. And you all haven't had this, so I'm just going to say persecuting. And give you that for now. But now we have
Is the correct pronunciation vis?
diokonton. Oh, you have the, so it would be dio or dia, but you have the lengthening into a omicron, so honestly, I don't know. I know it's probably like ekontos or something like that. So, okay, so does this work in its current format? Pray over to the, because we know this is a genitive plural here. To, you can say like to those. adding that in. Pray over to those persecuting you. Wait, you can drop that.
Pray for those who persecute you?
Yeah. Or yeah. Or you can even add the who. Those who are persecuting you. To make that a relative clause. Makes it a little bit more, makes the flow into English.
The question I have is, though, how do you translate y'all into you? So, okay, let me rephrase that. So, umas means y'all, right?
Mhm.
So, multiple people. So then how is the translation from Greek to English change from y'all to you?
Oh, I'm just using it just because I'm used to saying you rather than y'all. I'm not a native Texan. Yeah, but you can also with huper in next to the dative, you can also have this meaning on behalf of. So you can say like pray on behalf of those who are persecuting y'all. But you see with the relative clause here where you have to add in these different words, which are typically going to be pronouns. You're looking at me with suspicion there.
Just you all.
You don't like the y'all? A native Texan?
So the other question I have is, you said huper can be on behalf of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I have the wrong understanding of on behalf of, but on behalf of someone means that they would partake in the activity, except they can't partake in the activity.
You know, like in you're thinking like as proxy, right?
Yeah.
But on behalf of would be more like you are standing over or stand in or standing over for them to do it.
Stand in.
Yeah. Well, it's just the way, yeah. Like if you can imagine, like you have a bunch of people, maybe you imagine them prostrated and crying, you know, lamenting for God, lamenting that over their persecution, and you're standing over them if you want to. If that's a good visual symbol, but you're still praying on behalf of, but you can pray over, lay hands on. Even that would be a little bit of a stretch, but we get the idea of like the coming from above, like you're, it's that overness to it.
I think a lot of people take things on someone who would not want it done or has no particular desire to have it done. Sure. For example, the Mormon Church have their children get baptized on behalf of random people in their lineage. Baptism by proxy.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I would say this is more like what I'm seeing as like a linguistic innovation in modern English is like, for example, like if I wanted to show Miranda affection back in the day, it was like I just wanted to show affection, right? But now it's I want to love on Miranda, which I'm like, when I first started hearing it, I'm like, what are you saying? That sounds weird. But that seems to be more of a case of like, I'm going to get my drink, I'm going to get my meal on or something like that. So it's like this concept of like doing something over somebody or to somebody, but you're on them. Yeah. So I guess it's not too much out of left field for having Hooper work in that function. Like, I'm loving on behalf of my wife. I'm loving, yeah. I don't know if that would sound as romantic. All right, so yeah, moving on. Our little distraction. Luckily, we don't have that much in the way of what do you call it, vocabulary this week. So, this is basically the rules of being able to tell if your participle is adverbial, adjectival, and if that adjectival is attributive or substantive. The questions you want to ask. Is it anarthrous or is it articular? Is there the word ho, hey, taste, and so on and so forth? If no, it's adverbial. If yes, mostly adjectival. And then how then to tell if it's attributive or substantive. and it's typically going to be context that's going to give you the case if it's attributive or substantive. Whether if it looks like say, if it's substantive, you're typically going to see it matching with, the case number and gender with another head noun in that sentence or clause. If it's attributive, it's not. You won't see anything else in that clause, phrase, or sentence. So that's going to be functioning as a noun. So, as we always want to say, start by the translation, by adding ing to your translation, then start cleaning up your English later. So we did that a couple times in today's illustration. So not much to be said about this. So if anybody wants to follow on, we're going to be talking about 7 questions of our participles. There's a chart on page 334 if you want to reference. So we covered the questions of number 1, and Arthur said articular. If there is no article, it's adverbial, so that means it's going to be modifying a verb. And in modifying a verb, we want to match either the level of the completion, the state of completion, or incompletion of the action by using modifying words like while or after for incomplete, incomplete. If it is articular, it is more than likely an adjectival. And then we have to find out via context if it's going to be, we've covered all this. So we have to add an attributive. We add in our whose or whiches, the pronouns, and substantive because they're standing in as a noun, which we did that on our examples just a few minutes ago. The one who, so that single article to was the man or the one who, moving forward from there. So the questions are going to be, number 1, is there an article? Well, no. Adverbial? Yes. Adjectival? What word is the participle modifying? And we're going to tell that out by case number and gender, and that's going to be in number 3. If it's adverbial, do you use while or after? Questions we want to ask. If it's adjectival, is it attributive or substantive? Once again, we use context of, through other words. Is it modifying a head noun that matches a case number or gender? And 4, does the participle modify a word? A verb? If so, it's adverbial. I just went brain dead. Okay, yeah. So, and if it's attributive or, sorry, my notes are really shorthand here, and I'm having trouble reading them. So, the big thing about this is what it is going to be dealing with a function. Substantive verbs are always, they function as a noun, but they're also going to be having more. They perform a function within the sentence. Yeah, and it's still going to be in place of a noun. So I think I just basically repeated what I was saying. So they're just functioning as a noun. So my notes are really bad there, so forgive me on that. So next questions you're going to be asking are dealing with aspect. Are they in the aorist tense stem, so they're functioning as a perfective? Present tense stem, or are they going to be functioning as imperfective? So that gives you an adverbial if you're going to add an after or a while to it. Your voice, active, middle, passive. That's going to give your modifying verbs like we ran into. So with the aspect and the voice, where we had to go from take the to be, the being modifier, and then have it into, what was it, went? Yeah, what was it like, or was, were, yeah, being became were, they were, yeah. So that could be something you have to deal with. And meaning, the final meaning, the definition of the word after you've had to go through all of these previous 6 questions. So these are all the different things you want to ask yourself when you're translating a participle. But once again, ing is your friend in initial translation. So did that make sense to everybody? Because it's all in your book, was what I was trying to point you out to. But this is basically a decision tree. You're going to want to start anytime you stumble into a pronoun in your translations. And does anybody have any questions? I'm trying to look if these are looks of confusion, or you're trying to etch these into your mind. Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Does this make sense to you? Do you think you can take this flow chart and run with it? Okay. That's mainly what I'm wanting to. Okay, and this.
Especially with a little, parentheses while after which.
Yeah. And do you all ever go back and cover these slides? And because I send these all to y'all as an email every week, so if you ever need a review. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, no worries. But if you need them, they're there if you need to access them. So this is just something really good to have, like if you're doing your paradigm charts as posters on your walls. This is a good buddy to have on your side as a study buddy. All right, so that's it. That's all we really need to do for our adjectival participles. Is everybody getting the concept? They're just participles, verbs that modify nouns or stand in as a noun. Yeah, good. All right, so we have just a few vocabulary words to cover this week. Yeah, wonderful.
I don't know what it means.
It's actually dechomai, not. Yeah.
Right.
What?
To be right.
Yeah, if it was dexomai, that'd be. Yeah. Drax the Destroyer, so we getting that from. It's like, I am very humble. Yeah. Okay. Nobody willing to give this one a stab? Okay, this means I take or I receive. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But a different, yeah. Okay. This is a verbal form of a word you've already learned the noun form of. Verb describes an action and noun describes a thing. So dokeo. Does anybody want to give a? This means I think or I seem, or it seems to me would be a better way of saying it. But this is the verbal form of doxa or doxe. Yeah. Or I praise and yeah. Yeah. But it also can mean doxe can also mean belief as well, or thinking, or correct thinking. Yeah. This means I think, or it could be like I seem, but I would be more like it seems to me, or I seem. Yeah, I seem. That's a really. I seem to think. It's just, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, dokeo really, in its term, like when it's like talks about like it's like it seems to me that Ruth is standing before me would be the way the verb is used more often in Greek. Okay. This one's gonna be a hard one. Estio. Yeah. Yeah, eat was exactly what I'm in the mood to do right now. Estio. Yeah. Almost looks like a passive when you first see it. Like, is this a passive form of Amy? But it's not. Makes me wonder if this is the root ending, where they get the passive from. I don't know. So, this is another verb. We have the omega at the end. This almost looks like a reduplication, but it's not. This means I send. And then I had this in our Bible study on Thursday. On Thursday, I don't know if you remember this. Those who were at my Bible study, the two of you. This is Pharaoh, and it's not our great big teddy bear ex-Marine in our church.
So what chapter were y'all studying?
We were doing a study on on actually suffering. And
Suffering?
no.
This means to bear.
Yes. I carry, I bear, I produce.
I
Yeah.
remembered something.
Yeah. So the Hebrew word for suffering, it also means to bear.
Oh, so like Pharaoh made the slaves there.
Yeah.
Well, except for the Old Testament was written in Hebrew, not Greek.
I was just thinking
She was thinking
Yeah.
Septuagint.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
This
go.
is why I said it doesn't mean big house, does it?
Yeah. Yeah, because after Pharaoh defeated all those sea peoples, he had all those nasty Greeks settled in the Nile Delta. There we go.
And you know, and a lot of those nasty Greeks became royalty.
That's true. Are you saying the Greeks were the Hyksos? That would be the royalty who ruled northern Egypt in the between the Middle and Late Kingdoms.
I remember.
No, that's the Ptolemaic, so definitely Greek, yeah, but that's much later, yeah. All right, so for this week, we're going to be going over exercise 29, pages 173 through 176. And next week, we're going to end our participles with the combinative or perfect participles and genitive absolutes for chapter 30. So I want to thank y'all for keeping up with your studies. Study hard, study much, and look forward to seeing you all next week.
Yeah, we're at 29 days, so 30 next time.
Yep.
And that's 2 weeks from now.